Hey everyone, it's Renee. Let me know if you can hear me if you are hopping on. On Tuesday, I did some roasted tomatoes and some sauteed greens for some fun little pizzas. And yeah, let me know if you can hear me. And I promised that I would go over on my Fit and Faithful page and finish that out for some round 2, round 3, and that is what I did. But I still had some leftover greens, so what I'm going to do today is a really fun appetizer, side dish meal, sort of whatever. I'm using some stuff up from the garden, and it's a fun one. So I have these leftover greens, and so what I'm going to do is, hey Jenny, can you hear me? Make some little quinoa patties. I always have quinoa in my fridge, and so I'm going to use some of that up. So we're going to do, it calls for an egg for some binding, and so I'm just going to mix this up real quick. And it calls for a cup of quinoa, and so I actually use chicken broth in that, and so that gives it some really good flavor. Sometimes I don't, I just use water. And then from the garden, part of a grated carrot, parsley from a friend, thanks Brecca, green onion that was in the garden, and if you don't like some of these seasonings, just leave them out. And some garlic. Now I didn't really go super heavy on the garlic because when I sauteed the greens originally for the pizza and for the egg bake, there was some garlic in there. Now the original recipe calls for that frozen spinach that's really hard to like get all that moisture out, and then you're like wringing it out for 2 hours and then washing your hands 10 times and you're like, why did I buy this stuff? This is stuff that I sauteed, and I just chopped it up really good with my fun knife. I like knives. And then I'm gonna put it in with all my stuff, and about a half a cup of breadcrumbs, panko. And then you just stir it up. And depending on how big your egg was or how your ingredients go together, it should be okay for binding up and making into little patties. About the size of like a 50-cent piece, maybe a ½ inch thick. And a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Now I'm kind of a Parmesan cheese freak, so I probably am putting in more than the recipe calls for, which by the way I can type out below for you if you want that. And so then now we have this mixture here, and I'm going to gently patty it. And that's going to be a mess, so I'm not going to like let you watch that now. And I'll probably put them maybe on some parchment or wax paper and put them in the fridge, because what I've found is when I'm making patties of any sort, the ingredients really set better if you let them meld in the fridge for just like 10 minutes. And then what I'm going to do, I could bake them, but honestly they hold together better and have a nice little crust if you fry them. I know. So what I'm going to do is get this really heavy cast iron pan, which is almost like lifting weights, which is very nice. And I'm going to use either almond oil because avocado oil because it has a high smoke point, or canola oil. Now, canola oil is heart healthy, and it sometimes gets a bad rap, but I really do like it for frying if I have to because it has a high smoke point and you can really play around with the temperatures really well. So don't forget, we're getting all anti-agriculture on me. Canola oil is just fine. And so then I'm going to have these little patties, and there we go. So you can lay them on a bed of greens, you can serve them as appetizers. If you put any kind of sauce with them, the kids will eat them. There's not a lot of crazy stuff in here, so I can convince them that these are good. So I sauteed these greens on Tuesday, and it's Friday, and I'm still living large and cheap. That's the way we do it around here. So I know I promised this was going to be on my Fit and Faithful page, but some of you started out this sequence of randomness on Tuesday here, so I thought I'd finish it out. So hop on over to Fit and Faithful with Renee, hit yes for notifications for live videos, because yeah, I try to be, informative. And we'll keep doing that over there. And if you want this recipe, let me know. I can type that out too. Happy Friday, y'all.